No. Guys, you can always find wacky videos with ways to open a bottle of wine when you don't have a wine opener. But today, I'm going to show you the top 5 time-tested ways to open a bottle of wine. Los gates! Hey guys, welcome back. So before I get started with this video on all these different tools and methods to use to actually get the cork out, maybe you missed the video right before this where we actually need to expose the cork. So you'll notice that there are different ways that I have the capsule and the foil removed and cut. So go over here and check out that last video first so that you can see there are different ways to remove the capsule and the foil in order to get to the cork beneath. So for this video, I'm going to use 5 of the most popular wine opening tools, and I'm also going to show you which one is my favorite. So the first one I'm going to start with right here is also called a waiter's tool, waiter's best friend. There's all different kinds of things that they call this, but one of the reasons is because with this item, what you'll notice is they always have a bottle opener, so a beer bottle opener of some sort too. So literally that comes right up underneath the cap and it opens the bottle right up. So that's one reason why it's called a waiter's best friend, or a waiter's tool is another way that they say that. But simply put, when you have one of these, it's quite nice, it's quite small, fits right into your pocket, and what you do is you just unfold it. So there's a knife right here. Watch the last episode to see why you would use this knife. But what you're going to do is just unfold the guys. So there's the first step. You're going to unfold that piece and then this piece, and that's it. There's only these pieces here. This one is called a 2-stage. The reason it's called 2-stage is because you see that there is 2 stages here. So there's a first stage and then a second stage. Now I'm going to show you the difference. With this tool, it is actually a single stage. So this is a beer bottle opener here on the top, right? This is one stage, so it's only a single stage bottle opener. So you can see the difference between these two guys. Now, one of the things I like about the double stage, which is my favorite tool by the way, is that you're actually able to change the amount of tension that you're placing on the cork as you open it. It's very important because you don't want to break the cork. So I'm going to show you some ways to avoid that. But first, let's start with this guy right here. All right. So I've got him totally unfolded here. I'm going to take the bottle now. This is not for sommeliers. I'm going to tell you straight up. This is just hanging out with your friends, having a glass of wine, right? You just want to get the cork out. So I'm going to show you the different ways to do that. What you're going to notice is that with this worm, that's what they call it, this little worm here, that it always comes to a point, and it's a very sharp tip point. And what you want to do with this point is literally put it, you're going to tilt the bottle a little bit, put the point like right in the middle. Now you see, I can't do that. The point doesn't go in, right? So I have to angle it a little bit so that the point can go straight into the middle, all right? Now, in 2 different ways, I'm going to be using action here so that it starts to drill into the cork itself. So I'm going to just push it a little bit and then begin to turn and push down at the same time, all right? Now, you'll notice it's already straightened up on its own. I didn't have to do that because the pressure is going to start putting the corkscrew or the worm straight in. So you can see it really doesn't take that much effort. I mean, 2 fingers right here, it begins to go straight in, all right? Now for the sommeliers, they always want that label to point forward for the guest. So I'm gonna go in. Now, this is where I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna show you why. You'll notice that in some videos, some people will tell you that you should drive this thing all the way down to the very tip here. There's a reason I don't do that. I always leave at least 1 curl of worm out. Here's why, guys. Look, can you see all these different corks and all the different sizes and heights and widths that they are? So with this cork, yes, of course you could drive it all the way down because this is a standard, it's a long cork, it's a natural cork too. That'll be a different episode. But look at this guy. Look how much wider this one is to begin with, all right? Not only that, but look how much shorter it is. I mean, this thing is way short. So by leaving about a curl exposed, I'm avoiding going all the way through the cork. Guys, that's what you want to avoid. You don't want to go all the way through the cork. Then you have the issue with cork getting into the wine before you've even pulled out the cork. We want to avoid that. All right, so now that we've got this guy exactly where we want it, now you're going to see how the 2 stages works. This is why I love this guy so much, all right? So what you're going to do first is take the handle piece and you're just going to shift it down this direction, all right? What this is going to allow you to do is to take the first stage, all right, and bend it down. And what you'll begin to do is lift up here. You can see how I've got my finger here to just keep the pressure in so that it stays on the lip. So I just start pulling up on the lever while I'm holding this in place right there on the lip. And then what I'm going to do is just begin to exert some pressure upwards on the handle, and the cork will begin to come right out. Look at that. Look how easy that was. All right. Now I'm going to extend that right there. That's as far as that first stage goes. All right. Now I'm going to repeat the method, except I'm just going to go down, and now I'm putting the second stage in place on the lip. You see how that works? That's why it's called a 2-stage. Now again, I'm going to hold this dude in place with this finger, and I'm just going to lift up again. All right. Now what you want to do is, you really don't want the whole cork to come out while you're doing this. You want to have a little bit still in there. Then you'll take the whole thing in your hand. You can see I'm holding all that, and just kind of move it to and fro, and bingo, you got the cork out. Now guys, I want you to see something. Look, is my corkscrew all the way through this guy? No, it isn't. Right? So I avoided that. But I didn't know this at first, but I'm going to show you how short this thing is actually, because it's actually a very short cork. Look at the comparison here. Look how short that is. Now again, if I'd gone all the way with the cork, all the way with the corkscrew, I would have had issues. I would have gone straight through the cork. Now, this is made from man-made materials, so this isn't real cork. You really wouldn't have to worry about that falling into the wine, but now you see the reason why I take that step to not go all the way in. There is the first method with the 2-stage bottle opener. I'll give you some suggestions below down in the comments so that you can see a couple of my favorites, all right? This one in particular, I've had this since 2003. It's 2020 right now, okay? Never had to do anything. It's amazing. So there you go. There's number 1. All right. Number 2, I'm going to use, again, a waiter's corkscrew. This happens to be a very fancy, very expensive, very heavy. I just want you to hear this. This thing is super heavy, okay? Now, the brand is Peugeot, like as in the car maker. Who knew that they made corkscrews too, but anybody looks cool in a Peugeot. And I guess even a corkscrew too. So what I've already mentioned is it's a 1-stage. So same method here, right? I'm gonna approach the bottle. I'm gonna take this guy at a little bit of an angle because I've got to get that worm driven in right into the middle of the cork, right? So there it is right there. And then you remember, I'm going to kind of push in a little bit, and then I'll begin to push down with my hand and just begin to turn. Doesn't take a ton of pressure, you guys, so don't overdo it, right? Now, you'll see, once it's in a couple of turns, it's really easy. The key is just keep it steady, keep the bottle steady, keep your corkscrew steady. You don't want it going in at crazy angles and damaging the cork, okay? Now, again, you're gonna see, I want this dude to be in there at about, you know, about a coil out, right? Hopefully you can see that again. Now, single stage, what that means is that you don't have quite as much torque and leverage as you do with the double stage, but it works beautifully. Most of them, I think today, are still a single stage. But again, I'm going to put my hand on this side so that I'm holding it fast against the lip, and then I begin to just lift up on this handle, all right? Very simply. And then you'll see sometimes this guy wants to kind of slide off and that kind of thing. Don't worry about that. In this case, because the cork is so short and because this first stage is a little bit longer, now that I've already got the cork out a little bit, one method you can do is just unscrew it a little bit like this and now reapply it. And you'll see that now that helps you to get the cork raised out a little bit further. Again, I don't want it to come out at this point. I would rather take the whole apparatus, just kind of move it to and fro, and bam, you got the cork out just like that. So again, I want to show you that. See how the corkscrew is not all the way through the cork. You want to avoid that at all costs, all right? So I want to show you another, and then the easy, I didn't mention this last time, but the easy way to undo this is just grab the cork with 2 fingers and then just start doing that, right? Very easy. So there you go, there's the other one. Now I want to show you the difference between these two. These are both the same sort of, style for all intents and purposes, right? But what you're going to notice is that there's a major difference in the kind of worms that these two guys have. This one is a little bit wider. I hope you guys can see this okay. A little bit wider, a little bit longer, whereas this guy's a little bit shorter. I guess it just comes down to preference, but again, I love this guy. Not only that, I love the fact that it's coated, so it really goes into corks easily. But again, for those of you who love the Peugeot, the Euro look, this is really cool, really awesome. Thank you, Mike, for that gift. It's really awesome. Okay, so there's 1 and 2. So you got double stage, you got single stage, and now we're gonna move straight into what is called the asso. I'm sure I could do some Wikipedia on that, figure out why it's called asso. I have no clue, it's not important, but that's what this guy is called. Typically, these are going to come in a package like this. It's pretty neat, pretty small, fits right into your pocket. I happen to like this one. This one's by Westmark, very clean. And it's sturdy, but it's also light. It feels good in your hands. But yeah, I'll put the information down below for you. A lot of waders like this one, 2 reasons. It does have a bottle opener for your beer. So again, you can do that bit. You're going to remove the sleeve, and that's going to expose 2 prongs. So you're going to see with these 2 prongs that there is a shorter prong, and then there's a longer prong. And you're also going to notice that they are also just bending out just a little bit from one another. You'll see the reason for that in just a moment, but yeah, it's not broken, it's not messed up. They are meant to be 2 different sizes just like that. A lot of waiters or sommeliers will use this style for older bottles of wine. The reason for that is because older bottles of wine, the cork can become a little bit crumbly over the years. I'm talking 10, 15 years for the most part, old bottle of wine. So what this avoids is contact with a corkscrew. The corkscrew obviously is going into the cork. It's really moving things around. For an older bottle, that can get a little bit risky and can cause the cork to crumble. This one really helps to avoid that. Now, it doesn't always completely avoid cork getting into your wine, but at least it's a better method for the older bottles of wine. So let me show you how this thing works. So with the longer edge, with the longer end, you're going to go ahead and just insert that literally right there on the edge of the bottle and the cork itself. So just takes a little bit of pressure and it'll start to go in, right? Now you're going to put in the other end, the shorter end, and you're going to do the same thing on the edge. Now what you're going to do is rock it back and forth, and this will begin to move the asso down. Now you notice I've just got the bottle on the table here because it does take a decent amount of pressure to get it, especially with long corks, real corks. But you just keep doing this rocking motion until it's fully seated, all right? You want the guy fully seated just like this. So now we're ready. Now I'm just gonna tell you, this is the reason why this comes in number 3 for me. It takes a good bit of grit to get this thing out of there, all right? So what you'll begin to do now is you'll put your 2 or 3 fingers into the lip there, like this, and you will begin to turn this piece and to turn the bottle itself, and you'll be pulling down a bit and lifting up a bit, and this will help the cork to start coming out. So you guys can see what I'm doing. Fair amount of pressure to get this thing out of here. All right. Now what I don't want to do is slam this thing down when the cork comes out. So at some point I'll put it down, kind of get it to about that point, maybe 80% of the way or so. And at this point I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab the whole piece with the cork inside, and now I'm just going to begin to kind of loosen it. And there you go. The neat thing that you're going to see here is, be real careful, you don't want to cut yourself there, is there's no damage from a corkscrew. I think that's pretty cool. Some of you might be asking right now, Barron, why isn't this your favorite method? I like this guy, I really do. But the two-stage makes it so much easier from a standpoint of the leverage that you need to use to actually get to the cork. There you go. There's the third method. Number 4. All right, so a lot of you guys have seen these, especially around Christmas time and your different department stores and malls and these sorts of things. These are really neat contraptions. I think they're genius, actually. And sometimes when I've gone to wine tastings where, again, I'm having to open dozens and dozens of bottles of wine, this guy can really help because he does it relatively quickly and easily. The reason why, I'm just going to tell you straight up with these two, the reason why I don't necessarily like this style in general is because you don't have as much control over the angle that the corkscrew may be going in. Not only that, you don't really have as much control as far as like how far the corkscrew is going down. I just find I don't have as good of a feel for how this is going with these two types, but they work. So I don't want to totally just flush them down the toilet. They do work. So let me show you how this guy works here. So what you're going to find is this is the grip that you're going to use. This grip actually goes on either side of the lip of the bottle, all right? But the first step is to completely lift the handle and move it over backwards. As you see, what this has done is it has moved the corkscrew completely up and out of the way, which leaves this complete area here for the top of the bottle completely free of anything. So the first step you're going to take is just put it in so, like this. And you see what I'm doing? All I'm doing is squeezing this portion around the bottle like this, all right? Now you just want to make sure that you have it seated on there pretty well. Make sure you've got it centered pretty well. I like this model in particular because it actually has some rubber inserts here that helps to hold it a little bit better. Also has some rubber pieces here as well so that you have a better grip. All right, so again, coming back in here, I'm gonna put that guy around there. Now I'm going to hold that fast and still so that the bottle's not moving and so that I can get to work on this part. You see that the corkscrew is completely released and up out of the way right now. Now I'm going to take this with my hand facing up. You'll see why, because you're going to come all the way over like this. But here you go. You just begin to go up and over. Then you'll see that this guy becomes completely seated, so you don't want to overdo it. Once it's there, that's all that it can do, okay? That's as far as it can go, all right? And now you're just going to go back the other direction. Now, hold it still, keep a good grip on there, and there you go. All right, now I'm going to show you something, all right? I'm going to release the pressure here, but I want you to notice what happened. Do you see the corkscrew sticking out the bottom just a little bit? This is exactly one of the reasons why I don't like this style so much. Again, I don't feel like I have as much control over the depth and the pressure and those sorts of things. But again, man, when you need something just simple and easy, and you know what, it also looks kind of cool, I suppose, too. It works. All right, now how do you release the cork? You just do this all over again. You'll notice that the grip actually holds onto the cork now, and the worm comes out. There you go. All done. Method 4. All right. So guys, as you're watching these different methods, give me some comments below. Let me know, like, hey, what about this, Barron? Or why did you do it this way? Or Or why do you think one is better than the other? Yeah, let me know what you think. I want to hear your thoughts on this. All right, so number 5, here we go. Now, I am doing this in descending order. Number 5 is my least favorite, okay? Least favorite method. And it's this guy. You can find these at every grocery store. Why it is that you can't find this at every grocery store is beyond me, right? But you can find this at every single grocery store, all right? So it's kind of a similar method to the one that I just used. But what you're going to do is this thing just literally seats right over the top of the bottle, all right? So you can see I'm just putting it straight over the top. Now, one of the things that you can do at this point is making sure that that corkscrew is centered over the top of the cork. You don't want it going in sideways or anything like that. So again, make sure that it's centered as best as you can, all right? Now what you're going to do is you're going to hold this piece with your hand, all right? You can't do this, then nothing's going to happen, all right? Hold this piece with your hand, and now I'm just looking down. I know it's going to be tough for you guys to see, but I've got that corkscrew as best as I can centered over there. And now what you're going to do is hold this still in place, and now I'm just going to begin exerting some pressure to bring this screw down. So here we go. And what you'll notice is the little arms start raising up. So I've heard these are called rabbit ear corkscrews. Now you can see why. It is kind of funny, I have to admit. It is entertaining. So here, again, I'm going to try to keep about one piece of that curl exposed. And now what you're going to do is just bring these arms down, and then we'll begin to grab the entire piece and lift the cork out, all right? So I've done everything I can do to twist down. There's no further that I can go this direction. And now I'm going to take both hands, make sure you're keeping this centered, nice, solid, and you're just going to exert the pressure on those, bring them down. You notice how with these gears it begins to bring the cork out. And now what I'm going to do is grab the whole piece again, just like I have with the others, and I'm just going to kind of rock it a little bit back and forth, and the cork comes straight out. All right, so same way, you release this, grab the cork, and begin to turn. And that releases the cork from the bottle. Well, guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. I hope that this has been helpful. I hope it's been informative. Please let me know if so. Give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. I'll have many more videos just like these to help you guys out. So stay tuned for the next video, right? So click here and you'll find a link down below. My next video, we're going to use 5 different methods of preserving wine. So one of the most frequently asked questions I get is, Barron, why is it that my wine tastes so terrible just after a few days after I've opened the cork? And so I'll explain that question, and we'll show you 5 different methods to preserve, some not so good and some really excellent. And hopefully that'll be helpful for you guys. So, all right, I'll see you next time. And with that, cheers.